in the Illumination. Time to jump aboard the Loom train. It's me, it's JJD. JJ Double J, the Illuminator here. The Sweet One. Also known by almost countless other aliases and nicknames, but we won't get into that right now. Back when I worked at Walmart, this would have been right around 1997, 98, around there. They started me out in the automotive and sporting good department, which I absolutely hated because at the time I had so much less experience with automotive questions than I do now. But being in my early 20s, that's where they started me. Got my foot in the door anyway. But there was this part-time older gentleman that worked part-time because he was retired and he only wanted to work part-time. And I'm not sure exactly how it works, but some people say you could only make so much money after the age of 65 for that first year. I don't know if that's the way it still is, if that's the way it used to be or whatever, but he was only allowed to make so much money, so he was part-time. Not that he wanted a full-time job anymore. He didn't retire from Walmart. He retired from something else and then got a job part-time at Walmart. His name was Alfred. Everyone called him Fred. He was a nice guy if you accept people for who they are. And by that I mean he was kind of a little cranky, a little crotchety. More often than not, I get the impression that he wasn't there because he really wanted to be. But he made the best of it most of the time. But you just had to put up with him a little bit. For lack of a better phrase, he seemed to be a little rough around the edges. I never had a problem with him. I ended up working 3 weeks in those departments before they transferred me to the pet food department, where I was a lot happier. But that being said, I still had to work with him because you still see each other and you still there's so much more that you see of people other than just working together in the same department. But he was the type that I didn't have a problem with him. He didn't have a problem with me. He never treated me bad. But you just sometimes have to accept people for who they are. And we were just fine. I was fine accepting him. I learned anything he could teach me. And I never gave him any lip or any like, hey, what's your problem, man? Why you gotta be in such a bad mood? He wasn't always that way, but I could see with some people he was more that way than he was with me. He retired about a year after I started, for good. And I can remember he couldn't care less about anything else at Walmart when they had a Walmart. At the time, they used to do a morning meeting and they would do an evening meeting after the store closed. They would do the evening meeting. But I can remember them making reference to, that day being Fred's last day. And he was like, like, hey, no offense, but you'll probably never see me in here again. He just, if you accept who someone is, then you can understand and not get mad at everything that they do sometimes. But, sometimes people are just not 100% the people that you think they could be. They might have so much more that they could be that they just don't for whatever reason. But unless you've walked a mile in their shoes, you don't know why they act the way they did. Were they always that way? Did something happen along the way? Sometimes that's what happens. For all I know, his wife could have passed away, and he just lost his zest for life, or for really trying hard, and that happens to a lot of people. But I mean, unless you absolutely know, it's really hard to judge somebody. So sometimes, if you just will, in general, just accept people for who they are, and it makes your life a little easier sometimes. It makes my life a little easier sometimes. That's what I mean. But anyway, that's the story of Alfred. Fred. I was thinking of him today because happened to see somebody that reminded me looks wise of him, and you know sometimes it just is more stress if you try to change people. And sometimes, just accept people for the most part, especially in the greater scheme of things. It's work. Just get through it or whatever. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Anyway, that's the story for today, Fred. Fred was the story of the day. I'm off to the races. Sail Aversky. I love you all. Stay safe. Be good to yourselves. This is the Illuminator, and I'll be back. Tastes funny. Tastes like paint and wood.